Welcome everybody to another free lecture here at the Rocky Mountain School of Photography. Tonight, Marcy James, one of our Rocky Mountain School of Photography instructors, teachers, very good friend, amazing individual, will be talking to us about exploring features of templated websites. For those of you tuning in on YouTube, any of the questions that you have, please leave them down in the comments section and I will answer them to the best of my abilities, I promise. And as always, thank you to B&H for sponsoring these events. A lot of this wouldn't be possible without them. And with that, take it over. I'm gonna take this.
Thanks, Andy. Hi, everybody. How are you guys doing? So let's start it off with how many of you guys already have a website? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and those of you who don't have a website, are you wanting to have a website? How many of you that don't have a website want to have a website? Okay, and then some of you are just kind of catching some information, right? Just curious. All right. Those of you who have a website, who's already using a templated website? 3, and then how many of you built it on your own? Yeah? WordPress, or how'd you make it? Is it a WordPress site? Okay, it took a while, right? So, so the class today is kind of organized. I'm going to talk to you about some features from different templated websites, but to me, I also want to talk to you guys a little bit and get ourselves ready for a website because there's a lot of preparation that one needs to do, and I want to help you guys facilitate that. It's kind of like when somebody says, you know, you're going to start a business and they would say, okay, well, you need to write a mission statement and a business plan. And you're like, oh my God, well, where do I start, right? So I'm going to do that. One of the things that I give our professional intensive students every year, and I'm going to give you guys each a copy, is a handout. I have them do an assignment where they research like 2 to 3 different websites. And they tear that thing apart all the way down. They look at every single aspect of that website. And by doing so, they figure out what they like and what they don't like. They figure out what stands out, where they see issues. They find out what's important to them, what draws their attention. And that way, when you start looking at choosing a templated website company to work with, you have a little bit more of an idea of what it is you want. So I think it's important to know what you want and what you don't want before you start like signing up for your 14-day trials. So here's some handouts. So I'm giving these to you guys because I highly recommend that you can make extra copies for yourself. This is one, like this would be one research project for a website. But essentially I cover like site design and organization, like how many categories do they have? Do they title their different categories in their website traditionally? Do they use unusual names for their portfolios? What's the color scheme like? There's a bunch of questions about that for branding. Do they show video? Do they show audio? Is there a difference between galleries and portfolios, you know, for them? It has a lot to do with organization. Things when you look at images, do they provide information for the images? Sometimes you'll find some websites will provide like educational information. Sometimes they provide captions. Sometimes they'll provide like stories. And sometimes they'll provide nothing. So do they show their cell phone photography? Do they have their Instagram site up there? Where do they have their Instagram site? Is it right on the main area, or is it just a little button up in the top right-hand corner or at the bottom of the page? So there's so many options that you guys need to think about that I think it will be helpful for you to think about them while looking at other people's sites. And if you don't know of other people's websites, I have a whole list of people for you guys to look at the end of the lecture. So right off the bat, when you guys think about having a website, what do you use your website for? What kinds of functions off the top of your head before me starting the class? What do you want it to do for you? Marketing. And what's it marketing for you?
Music and photography.
So music, that's interesting. So you have two different areas. So it's not just one genre. And you want to find, and this also means that you're going to want to find a way to make it make sense that they're both on the same website if you wind up choosing to do that. Okay, what else? Storytelling. Great. So for you, it may be important having a website that has really good text options, right? Okay, what else? Yeah, does anyone want to sell anything on it? Commerce. So what kind of commerce? Are you meaning retail? Are you meaning like licensing versus selling prints?
Prints, and then there's the whole, digital download, selling it, which is kind of like how do you price that, how do you control it?
Yeah, there are sites that you can actually sell your stock, so you don't have to be on, Getty Images or Stocksy or something like that. You can actually sell the stock right on your website, and there are templated agencies, websites and agencies that do that for you. Good. Anyone else?
Testimonials.
Yeah. Oh, I have this awesome example of how a person uses their testimonials on a page. I'm so excited you said that, Mary. So testimonials, can you have testimonials? Anything else come to mind?
Social media?
Yeah, like how you get to integrate social media. Are there options, like those little buttons, like on my website, I just have the little buttons kind of, I think it's either in these corners, but today I was going through my lecture and this one person had it under like in more of a featured area on the left-hand side, so it was easier to see, it stood out a little bit more. And it actually, I liked it, their Instagram thing was text, and I liked it because it stood as its own portfolio. Whereas when they have those little buttons, I don't know, there's just something that's not as prominent about that. Okay, so when we're going to do a website, first of all, we're dealing with a portfolio. Your website's what represents you. It shows what you create, what you do, who you are. I like to imagine my website as a store. So it's going to be what's going to sell me and sell what I do. Some guidelines about starting a website. Well, first of all, I would like to say one of the most important things, and what I see most often from people who are inexperienced with dealing with websites, is they just do like a Lightroom brain dump. And I go on the website and there's like 40 categories, and you look under it and it has like 18 pictures of a squirrel in varying positions, and they're average pictures. So it's really important that you show your best work. This is not, if you want to show all of those other average things, that you do, that you like and other people might like, that's what you have. Maybe you use that on Flickr or on Instagram. But your website is your portfolio. That's that thing that you're showing to people. So first of all, be cohesive and show your style. So, if we had a class, Sarah and I had a class on style, and in some ways style is something that you'll come into naturally. It's where, the images sort of all reflect one certain kind of energy or emotion, or maybe a few different, because I've seen people's style kind of have two different directions. Diversity, you want to show the breadth of your vision and capabilities. So it's also, if you're trying to sell your services, it might be a place where you're able to show that you know how to work with artificial light as well as work with natural light. You may want to, your focus might be just on people, but you may also do car photography. So being able to do that. And this is when you're showing what you're good at. So keeping it distilled down to your best images, your strongest work. Good edits and strong sequencing is key. So this is where I was just talking to Herb and this gentleman right here to the left. One of the best things you can do to help yourselves learn how to do editing and sequencing is to go to a library and sit down with some photo books and go through them and think about how those book pages, how the image on the right and the image on the left, what do they have in common? Why did they put those images together? Was it because of color? Was it a compositional trend? Was it because of story, right? What is it? Because when people assemble a book, editing and sequencing is a big decision factor that goes into play. Are the sizes the same? Is there like a flow? Is it the same image spread across 2 pages? But learning how to sequence, and you can even do this by looking at magazine, if you look at a magazine and you look at a National Geographic spread as to how they laid those images out. But think about what is making the transition from one image to another. And that's going to be the same thing you guys need to think about when you're putting together your website. So another thing in addition to help you with sequencing that I always recommend is when you're getting close to adding a portfolio to your website, is to print out all the pictures you're considering, all right? Print them out, little 2x3-inch prints, and lay them out on a table or tape them up on a wall, because you can move them around and it's different than being able to move stuff around in Lightroom. So that's another tip. And then lastly, if you can, getting outside opinions from people that you respect, that are also conscious of this sort of thing before you go live, can be helpful. Okay, so when I think about a website, I think about it as a virtual store. So I think about, if I were to have my studio, what kinds of colors would I have on my walls? One of the biggest drawbacks that I've seen in website design is poor color choice for backgrounds, or poor color choice in text. Maybe it's like bright green text against, a yellow background. And so think about what color background is going to feature your photos overall well, and then use other branding colors in text if you want to bring out other kinds of colors. And then that whole thing when you're thinking about functioning, what is it when people walk into your store? What is it that they can do? Are they able to buy products? What kinds of products are they able to buy? Are they able to buy? Is there like a place where people hang out? Right? Like where there's an interactive conversation where they can get some coffee and hang out. So maybe you want a blog. Maybe you want something where you can have some sort of an inner dialogue going on in your website. That would be especially good if you're a teacher, if part of the services that you offer are, maybe you teach workshops or something like that. So templated websites versus building a website from scratch, there's pros and cons to both. For most of us, unless we're like IT tech savvy, it's easier to work from a templated website or hire it out to somebody. And I have a couple of points about that too, just to protect you if you are hiring out a web designer. But templated websites are relatively easy to work with. They're very easy to update. Once you've built it and set it up and have it all functioning, it's, updating your photos and moving things around and adding things is pretty headache-free. So here's a few templated website companies to consider. These are WordPress, if you're wanting to go the route of WordPress. Today, I'm going to cover a handful of templated sites and talk to you guys about the different features. So looking at the features, if you guys go through all of these are like all of the different options you could possibly have to consider when you're thinking about a website. So do this homework. Identify what you like, what you don't like. You guys, you know what you might even do? You should think about this, because you're all in here thinking about doing a templated website. If any of you wanted to do the homework and then get together and go meet up for some coffee and compare your notes, could be a good idea. So I want to show you a couple of different types of ways that people deal with different features. So these are a few different photographers that have different kind of cool ways about educating clients about their services. So let me go over here. So this guy here, Neil Van Nickert, he's a wedding photographer. And I love, under his more info, he gives them an education about choosing a photographer. So he has this whole kind of article about things to think about when you're, so he's building trust right here, right? So he's giving them an idea of who, you know, what to think about, what to ask a potential photographer that you want to photograph. He also has like a list of wedding venues. He also has, this is an article that he explains to his potential clients the differences between basic editing versus retouching and when retouching is going to be included. I think it's a really smart move. He also has under his pricing, this is what I thought Mary would want to see. The testimonials are right next to the pricing. Smart, right? Doesn't that excite you? I was like, clever. But that's where they should be, right? Because right as you're like seeing that big price tag and you're like choking, you should see, oh, well, you know, these people think he's extraordinary. Look at that. So that would be, as I was evaluating a website, that'd be one of those notes I'd put down so that when I can talk to the templated representative on the phone, I can say, can we make a page where I have my testimonials live and that on the same page? So that is Neil. This woman, here's why I love Cara Lee. I love her because she lets you pay online. How awesome is that? Who wants to ask people for money? No one wants to ask anybody for money. Make it easy on yourself. Have a way that you can do, they have client proofing. They also do workshops. They have a whole bunch of things. But what I like about this is this pay online thing. It's very rare. I haven't seen it on very many websites. I wish everybody had it who had something to sell. And then Cub, she has, here's something that bugged me about her. So this is where the sorry Cub, I think you're awesome. But so if you look at her gallery, and this goes to bode towards, and these are all of her testimonials. I kind of like the testimonials of the previous person because it looks like it's Travelocity or whatever. It's unedited, right? It's got the person's name, it has stars. So Cub, here's a downside for me with her, is her gallery, all of her images are in color. It's all this kind of like soft light. Well, oh, they're not all color. They're black and white too. There's a few black and white. She came through. So, but in her About Me, she has, it's like these really gritty black and white pictures. And I know that like it's her, maybe it's her as a baby, I don't know, but there's just something that seems a little bit wonky about it. So there's that. Okay, so then the next one, but how are you gonna educate your clients? Testimonials, how will you have support for yourself? Then we have additional services. Are you offering anything other than your photography? Are you selling anything else? Are you selling workshops? Are you selling tutorials? Are you offering mentoring? Do you offer design skills? Music, right? You have something else. So here's two ladies. This woman, Jennifer Thorson, she offers, she also does lectures and education. So here's her bio. You guys all know you're going to need a bio, right? So that would be something that I would read a lot about. I'd read a bunch of different people's bios, but I'll show you some examples. But so she has, a whole section for her lectures and education. This woman is kind of cool. Amara Lehman, she actually went to our school. She did our career training program years ago, but she does artwork documentation in addition to photographing food and drink, product, portraits. She's kind of a generalist, but she has her own thing. But this was really cool. So she photographs artworks for people. Look under press and publications. It's not her photography. It's where her photography for these other artists gets published. How many of you think about that kind of thing? Pretty cool. That got me excited. She lives on Bainbridge Island, I think, maybe. I'm not sure. But she lives in Seattle, so she has access to more of an urban kind of feeling. So really fun there. Then we have Michael Clark. So with Michael, I like how he kind of, his whole approach for storytelling. I'm not going to play the video because everyone online can't hear it, but he has on here under motion, you can click on this, and you guys will get access to this, so you'll be able to click on everything that has a live link. But he has like a whole video that kind of represents a bunch of different shoots that he does. So it's kind of like, what do they call it? What do they call that, Pam?
Sizzle reel or demo reel?
Demo reel, yeah, or sizzle. They call it a sizzle.
Sizzle reel, yeah.
Nice, I like that. Okay, so so having that, if you're doing video, having some sort of, and sometimes you might have it on a landing page, varies person to person. And then we have these two photographers who I chose because, well, what I like about Stephanie is check out, these are all like different possibilities of things you could want, like when you think about doing video. Like, look how crazy that is. Have you guys ever seen that? Now we know it's possible, right? But it's kind of animated, and you can look at her font, the way her like writing is, her name. It's kind of playful, light, and loose and active. And so her homepage is going to be that way too. It's bright, colorful, moving energy, and also it's kind of an unusual thing. My guess, I have a strange feeling this might be a photo shelter site, but I could be wrong. And then this guy, Tom Clark, he has a blog, and I just came across this and I thought, well, that's kind of fun if you're like doing a blog, to make it a little more engaging, have a little more energy. So tonight is thinking about all about what you guys want. Like what's the sort of mood that you want? Another thing to think about before you decide to even choose which company you're going to go with is how are you going to title your portfolios, right? Do you want to have catchy titles? Do you want basic ones, landscape, wildlife, kids portraits? Or do you want, this made me open it. So we have kids and families, that's pretty basic, lifestyle, pretty basic. But then we have the modern office. I was like, ooh, what's the modern office? What's inside the modern? And then we have the future is female. So she adds a little bit of play. So there's a lot of creativity that can go into how you title your portfolios. And I want to challenge you to give that attention because it's a tricky balance. You need it to be straightforward so people don't feel confused. I'm not saying like come up with some like haiku poem or something like that, but you want it to be clear, but you also want it to have a little bit of artfulness to it, I would think. So kind of fun. And then we have captions and text. How do people deal with that? Playing with that. This is Amy Tonsing. I think she works for National Geographic. I loved what her site could do. I think she's Photo Shelter as well. So she's got her titles: work, motion, about, prints, contact, stock, news. So she's straightforward, right? That's her thing. But one thing that's really fun about what she has is under her project, she'll have, like if you go under her general work, you can choose any of these projects. So she has all these different projects. And then you click on the project and you get to see the main image, and then you can click, to scroll to the next image. But what I really like with regards to captions and text, she has the ability to have her published work right under the project. Isn't that cool? And then under that, she also can have her video. So it's all housed on that one page. I love that. I think that's just so clever. So I think she used to be with Photo Shelter. I'm not sure, but she might be. And then Edward Bertinsky. How many of you guys heard about Edward? Oh God, I love him. Oh my God. If you guys are like into saving the environment or interested in world politics or social issues that are vast, and you know, he was about before the whole drone big festival for drone photography came out and everyone's shooting with drones. I think he's before that. He has a photo in the mine section in Butte, Montana, my favorite place. But what I love about Edward Burtynsky's, so he does long, big projects, big storytelling, like you. So he needs to be able to have text. So he'll have his artist statement and different information about the project. So it kind of reads a little bit more, less like a big photo expose, which by the way might be something that's important to you. You may want really big images, that take up the full screen, or you might want these square little thumbnails. But so he has his text and it comes over, you know, right over it. Corey Arnold though, watch how his text comes into play. So first of all, he has under his images, he'll have the recent features. So where this image was featured, under what magazines, where it was published. And then, if I'm right, when you scroll on it, is that right? Let me see. I feel like this is the guy. So, maybe not. No. Oh, look at that. Oh, so good, so good. Okay, so he doesn't. Oh, it's Ed Kashi. Okay, you ready, you guys? Watch what happens with Ed Kashi. Cool, right? Now you see it, now you don't. Isn't that fun? You can be really playful with how you use text. Maybe you don't want it to be in the face. Maybe it's too busy. Edward Burtynsky's site was like too busy because the picture didn't have enough space. So you could just experience the image and it had too much like information at the bottom and it made you want to fall asleep. But look, you can still get the text because Ed Kashi did. So that's kind of a fun idea. All right, so captions and text is kind of a fun thing. I would like to build more into that. Another thing that you guys can help people. So if you're wanting to let people, let's see. If you're wanting for people to, you're a commercial photographer, right? And you want an advertising agency or an art director to be able to share your work with their team, right? They come across your website and they're like, oh my God, I want to show this work, but they don't want to show them the whole portfolio. So what a lot of templated websites have, oh, see, he's the guy who has Instagram right there on his list. That's what I want. I have to work on that because I would like to have that. But he has something called a Create PDF. So when you have that, which a few of the templated website companies have, you can go through the images and pick images and make your own gallery of images that you want to then show to people or save for yourself for later. Maybe you want to buy or lease or, have one of those images. So you can make your own PDF, download it, and use it. It's very handy, especially for commercial photography. Okay, so it's also good for editorial photography. So if you're wanting to get hired for news publications and they want to share it, bring your work, it's just easier. All right, now we also have to think about, how many of you guys that have websites, how many of you have About Me pages? Yeah? How'd you guys like writing those? Didn't like it? No?
Not really.
Yeah. So what kind of a tone did you guys take when you wrote it? What did you say? How did you describe yourself? Was it like direct and descriptive, this is what I do? Was it playful? Was it written in the third person, first person? What'd you guys do? It was all lies. Yeah. Perfect.
I think you need to know who your brand is. Like, who are you?
Yeah.
And then speak in your brand voice, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard to do writing about me. Let me tell you guys about a book, okay? If you have a hard time like distilling things down into what you want to say and you have to develop your business, it's a little bit hokey. If she hears me, I love your book, but you have a lot of markers and like post-it notes and a lot of like crafty stuff in the book, but it works. It's called the Right Brain Business Plan. And it is a great way to pull your mission statement out, your about me statement out. It's a brilliant, wonderful, wonderful book. So I highly recommend that you guys check that out. So how are you going to write about yourself? So this woman, very straightforward. She's an artist. She has her bio is written in the third person. This is fairly common, especially in the fine art field. You know, they like to keep things a little bit formal. They'll talk about where they've exhibited, you know, that sort of thing, where their education's from, that sort of thing. If you're, you know, going to be a retail photographer, there's no need to have where you went to school, really, because people aren't hiring you for that. But for fine art, if you're going to be, people care about where you went to school. I don't know why, but it is true. All right, Amy Vitale. She has her bio is all about her mission, who she is, what she's passionate about, what her work is about, what the purpose is. She's a documentary photographer. There's a little quote, in the beginning, photography was my passport to meeting people, learning and experiencing new cultures. Now it is more than just a password. It's a tool for creating awareness and understanding across cultures, communities, and countries. A tool to make sense of our commonalities in the world we share. This woman has given her life over, I swear to God, to telling these stories for the purpose of unifying and kind of exposing us to things that we might not have otherwise experienced. She's based out of Missoula, but she is really only here like 2 days a month. That's it. Otherwise, she is like flying from one place to another because there's a lot of stories to tell. Then here's Eric Ryan. Those of you who don't want to write a bio or an about me, well, you don't have to. Especially you don't have to if you get to shoot for Under Armour, Nike, American Express, or the Hollywood Reporter. But, you know, I myself have had exhibits where I did not have an artist statement. I was like totally opposed to it. And in some ways I wanted people to interpret. So if that's your thing, then you should have a really cool image in your about me, right? Because that's kind of a fun picture. And it's mysterious, just as having no bio is mysterious. But there are no rules, you people. There are no rules. Lisa Wareham, she's a retail photographer out of Butte, Montana. And she has a different about section for every area that she photographs. So seniors get their own page, family and kids get their own page, weddings get their own page. And I think the seniors even have like the female and they have a page for males and a page for females. So if you go to the girls, she lays out like different places where you can be photographed, outdoor scenic, if you're wanting to go to the sports or studio. So she's kind of educating them on how to prepare for the shoot, which is pretty good. So, and Lisa is awesome. She's very informative. She has a great blog for photographers. What is it called? It's escaping me, but I don't think this is the one. This is her blog, but I don't think that this is, no, she has what is it? Something bacon, photo bacon. That's it. Look up photo bacon. I'm glad my head is here today. Okay, then look at Rodney Smith. Rodney Smith came with his is sort of humorous. Look where his Instagram is. He's using Instagram, the word, not the icon. Where do you guys stand on that? Do you guys like the icon or the word? Raise your hand if you like the icon. Raise your hand if you like the word. Everyone wants the icon.
What about neither?
No one wants it. Are you serious? No Instagram? Oh, have you tried Instagram? Do you surf Instagram?
But when you had to cite about seniors, I had an entirely different take on seniors and what it meant.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. Hey, baby boomers are in the up and coming. There should be a whole section for senior photography. Seriously. Okay, so Rodney Smith was a modest man with eclectic sensibilities. He could wear an ascot without appearing pretentious. He proclaimed himself to be a closet optimist. He believed modernism took a wrong turn at the wrong time. He thought Freud saved his life. He graduated Yale. He lived in a wooded enclave in Students' Landing, just close enough to the Manhattan to meet an editor for lunch at a moment's notice. And you see the text, the whole like font style is sort of kind of looks like not New York Times, but sort of that whole old world. But he's having fun in his own way with how he's writing his About Me bio. So how you're going to do your About Me can take on lots of different directions. Okay, let me pull up copyright. How many of you guys copyright your images? Forrest, did you see that? Three. Don't you guys know that fame is right around the corner for you? Yeah, I know. I need to copyright mine more often too. And I teach. What's wrong with me? Oh, hey, Forrest, watch.
Yeah. I'll look at
Boom! Everybody learned something. I didn't know about the green button. All right, so copyright, couple different ways to deal with copyright. So this guy, Bill Frakes, he has on his homepage to navigate this site, there's a few simple tools, blah, blah, blah. All of the content on this site is copyright protected. So you can't see anything in his site. You can't view the images until you have proven that you read it, because that's how you have to click enter. That shows that you've acknowledged that. Okay, so that's how he deals with it. And then Rodney, who we know, so he talks about his price, and then he has his whole thing about all rights reserved, and then he makes it very obvious that you click the I agree button. Lots of people, most people do not have a lot of information about their copyright on their website, but it is an issue, stealing photos.
If you stick the copyright in the metadata, the smarter search engines will know when like Google Images,
Yeah.
they'll know what's okay to download, what's not okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you can actually search that way.
Very
And
interesting.
to be honest, they let you know.
Yeah, okay. So this is Alex Honnold. He belongs to Squarespace. So this is called the landing page. So when you have something, we'll talk about it, but you have something before you get into the website, you land on something, whether it's an invitation. You know how like stores, boutiques and stores, they have that, like, would you like to join our mailing list kind of thing? That's called a landing page. But you can use it to promote things. You can do it he's using it to promote his video. And then the other thing that's kind of cool, well, I'm going to not play the video because you guys should watch the video. This is Climb On, so that tells you, takes you into the website instead of saying, take me to the website. We all get it. But in his About section, I think it is, this guy, Alex Honnold, lives in his car, right? Not his car, but it's like a Vanagon. You know, he's one of those people who like travel and live the adventurous life and go from, it's the van life. Yeah, so he does it, and that's his life. But so because of that, we get to find, I think it's in here, there should be a map, of where he is right now. So where is that? It's in here somewhere. So he has like a live, which is kind of a cool feature. There's a live map that you click on. I thought it was, maybe it's in the contact. If it's not in the contact, I won't take up your time. Oh, where did it go? I'll have to figure that out. All right, well, he did have like a Google map that showed like his specific location at any given time, which is kind of fun if you're following a photographer and you're interested in where they're at. So that's Alex Honnold. All right, so now let's get back to business. So there's a few things for you guys to think about. So as you're thinking about optimizing your website, you want to make sure that you have essentially a branded website with some sort of a logo, whether the logo is your name, whether you have some sort of image. And color scheme, you want to think about what your colors are. That's something to think about before you're putting your website together. Another thing to think about is responsive web design. So does your, when people look at your website on a desktop versus a laptop versus a tablet versus a phone, Apple versus Android, whatever, how does it come across? And is it a responsive web design? So that's one of those features that you're going to want to look at when you're choosing a website company. Flash is kind of a thing of the old, so you don't really have to worry about that so much, but it doesn't work on iPads, and it's just, you don't want websites. Live Books used to be a Flash-based website. I think they're not anymore, but they used to be. So that if you're thinking about Live Books, you want to ask them. If you hire a pro to build your website for you, if you wind up hiring somebody, you want to make sure that they know how to do responsive, cross-platform, cross-device web design. So here's a few things to consider. So your website is a living document. Some people say that you wouldn't leave, you should really update your portfolios at least every 3 years. Some people say freshen up, and have a fresh portfolio on there every year is important. This is it's your store. So imagine if you had a clothing store and you had the same clothes in your clothing store for 3 years, that wouldn't be so good. Be clear on your voice and your style, which is why it's so important to really think about what your purpose is, write about it, answer these questions, really give some thought. A lot of people organize a bunch of photos and throw them up because their friends and family are like, you should have a website. You need to put that thing together, put those images. This is your face. This is your brand. And then show what you do well. And don't be safe. Yeah, I'll just leave that as that. Okay, so you're not just selling a service or a product anymore. Right now, one of the things that's sort of big in the marketing realm of advertising and marketing is that you're selling a lifestyle, you're selling you. We have a teacher, Ben Ferenz, who teaches a handful of most of our marketing classes. He's a graphic designer, and he always harps on our students on how they dress and how they present themselves, even when they're out at the grocery store, wherever you are. You're representing your brand because you are your brand. So another thing to think about for your website, a lot of people will show sort of like one-up images, or images that if you're a retail photographer, you're showing images of brides and weddings. But showing personal projects is a really great idea, to be able to show people what your potential is. It shows people where your imagination can go. It can show people your ability to troubleshoot and be able to sort of like take on an idea and interpret it yourself rather than working with somebody else's idea. It's a way of keeping your portfolio fresh. It allows you to be playful in ways that you might not otherwise be able to do, because it's your own thing. You're doing it for yourself, and it's just good. So I can't show you where his map is, but this guy, Shay Evans. One thing that's important to think about when you're putting together your website is how it shows up on Google. This guy has the best description that I have found on when you do a Google search. I love this. Right under here, this little text, this is something that you'll decide inside your website what goes here. And I love his. It says food culture photographer based in Northern California, specializing in commercial, editorial, and restaurant photography in Tahoe, Reno, Sacramento, and San Francisco. I love that idea, food culture photographer. How cool is that? Because when we go to his site, it does embrace culture of food. So he has, he has all of the general things that you would have, but he has, what did I want to show under his portfolio? Like it shows like, kind of like food beauty, sort of editorial, but it shows a lot of images of sort of like the culture around food. So, oops, how do I scroll you down? So it gives pictures of restaurateurs, like farm to table kind of experience. There were some under, maybe it's under personal. No. Oh, that's a personal, but this is a personal project, so you can see that even, a commercial photographer, oh, it won't take me there. See, he has a PDF builder. He also has a subscribe. You can subscribe to his thing. But some of you might not be totally ready to create a website, but people are asking you for pictures, and they want to see your pictures, and they want for you to share them. So if you're not yet ready to work on a website, you can take a group of 12 pictures or 20 pictures that that somebody wants to see and they want to share and see what you do, and you can send them a PDF of your images. And there's companies that will let you do that. Issuu is one. MagCloud is another one. ReadyMag is another company. And what it does, it's kind of cool. It just lets you give them, it's like giving them a magazine with all of the images. So if you're in demand, but you just can't quite get it together, we all have very busy lives. Some of us have like busy jobs and stuff, or family, whatever. But this could be a nice interim possibility for you to be able to have something to show that's kind of like a portfolio. That's, it's a portfolio of kind, so it's different from Instagram because Flickr, because it's a chosen layout of a group of images, but it's not the website, right? Okay. So that can be a good option. All right. So how to prepare for putting your website. You're going to have to get together all the images that you're going to want to put on your website, right? Get them all printed out so you can start playing with editing and sequencing. You're going to want to think about how you're going to name, how many portfolios you're going to have, how are you going to name the portfolios, what kind of functions do you think you're going to need on your website, how you need, what's your color scheme, you want to gather your logo. So all of these are steps. So you create sort of a, like a mind map, or some sort of a sketch of what you're looking for. Like, what are your goals for your website? What would you like for it to do? And under those goals, fill out your little tasks of the things that you guys need to do. Who are you targeting? Do you guys want a mailing list? That's kind of a nice thing. I mean, you may not think that you have any followers to speak of yet, but in time you will, and you'll be sad that you don't have a mailing list. So what will your viewers be able to do when they visit your site? And will it keep them in the site? Will you take them in and out of the site? So I always suggest creating some sort of an outline. What's the content you want to share? Start gathering your testimonials. These are all things when you're getting ready to build your website. You want this content so that you can just kind of plug and place it. And the reason is I can't tell you how many people I've known who have started a website and they didn't have this information together before. And the website just became such a headache to work on because they didn't have the material to put on it. And so what could have taken them a month to put together winds up becoming like 6 months because they're dragging their feet. I don't know. Mary Marks has a very excellent website, by the way. What is it? PhotoQuest 360. She did an awesome job on that website. You guys should all check it out. It's very clear. What's your pricing? What's your licensing fees? These are all things that you guys need to do. Listing out the functional needs for your site. It's going to be like a blueprint of what your store. Just keep thinking about it as a store. Okay, so working with templated websites, there's benefits, there's drawbacks. They have different looks and feels. They'll have themes that you can choose from. They all have their variety of functionality. Most of them have free trials, like 14-day free trials, which is why, again, before you sign up for that free trial, have some content to play with so that you can actually do something inside that website. Some of them, you can even get, some websites are for free, like I think Weebly and Wix start off as free websites, and if you want to upgrade to different things, then you pay for that. But here's like a list of all kinds of features that they have. Things that are important to me as a person working is tech support, right? Tech support is really important. What kind of tech support do they have? Squarespace, for example, offers 24/7 tech support, live tech support. That's awesome. That would be a great selling point to me because can you guys imagine that you'll be working on your website design at like 10, 11 o'clock at night, possibly? Maybe on a Saturday or a Sunday? Yeah? Come on. You guys aren't all going to be working on your websites from like 8 to 5 Pacific time, Monday through Friday. So having access to good tech support, because I can tell you, it's supposed to be plug and play, but Pam's shaking her head. It's not, right? There's some learning curves. So these are all things to consider. Here's a list of some great templated website companies to consider. Show It, for example, Jasmine Starr is a retail photographer. She recommends that. Big Folio, Jerry Gijonis uses Big Folio and thinks that's 500 pics is also a networking site. So it's like, its own Flickr kind of Instagram sort of site. Photo, Jennifer Hudson, who I showed you what she did, does that. But let's look at just a few. So Squarespace. Has a very modern, kind of clean, fresh themes. It offers a metrics system so you can kind of monitor your client activity, like where they're clicking, what they're looking at, how long they're staying. They have that 24/7 support for developers. So sometimes people will get a templated site and still hire a developer, somebody who's IT savvy, to help them along through that. So it just makes everybody's life a little bit easier. They also have an app so that you can blog from any device. So you don't have to be at your computer. You could be on your phone and blog from that. The one thing that's a little bit glitchy for me with Squarespace is its online store. So it does have something that lets you create these things called lookbooks. But the downside is that it doesn't really have a big, robust commerce thing within it. You have to get what's called a widget, and they have these. A lot of people go to Pixieset, but there's a few. You can go to Photomoto, and what these do is they link you up to online outsourcing labs that will then sell your work, and it gets integrated. But the thing about it is that I believe, if I'm correct, you have to pay for Pixieset. You have to pay for Photomoto. So when you're thinking about how much you're going to pay a month for Squarespace, you have to add on to that. If you're selling anything, you're going to also be paying monthly for this other service to integrate them together. They work together seamlessly, but you just need to think about that when you're thinking about pricing. Its features, let's see. It has I brought up the whole feature list. So they have a lot of free fonts. They have customized layouts. video backgrounds, all these style editors. I think what people love about Squarespace the most is its modern templates. It has really, they were probably one of the first, you know, the squares where you have like that whole like grid. Squarespace, I think, came with that, up with that first. It's super popular. They can do full frame. It's a very clean, no mess, no fuss, tasteful fonts. So very hip and fresh. I love Squarespace. I don't have a Squarespace account though. I have a couple of others. So they have these features. They also have those things called cover pages, also known as landing pages, right? So that, and I love those. Like I would love to put on mine something to collect people's, their email addresses so that I can like be able to market them. So it's a great marketing tool. They can do it both with still images and video. So you saw that with Hunold. They also offer as marketing tools. Some of the features with these places, like Zenfolio especially, will offer so that you can run promotions off that website, mailing lists. You can send out teasers to your potential customers. All of that is really good. So we have a few different potential, like different sites, different photographers. I'll just show you a few that use it. So that's a little article on how to use cover pages. But Sarah Chappitt, see this design? She has Squarespace. She introduced all of us to it. It's wonderful. She has she has a blog about contact. She doesn't really do her commerce through this site. Her site is more for kind of like representing different projects. So this is her self-portrait project, but really nicely done, large photos, big scale, you know, really nice, clean, simple design, no text to distract you from what she's trying to get across. And then we have Teresa Bear. Now this is a landing page. See how she's able to use this to sort of reinforce to you who she is. It's also, it kind of has this like tease, like especially with Teresa, you're like, what's behind that door, right? So you click on it and it takes you into her website. And it has a pretty easy advance how you scroll from one image to another. And she has a few different portfolios. She also doesn't really use it for selling. Her picture's right there. She probably uses Pixie Set. But Alex Honnold, look at this. He's got this, he has a foundation that he's able to do on Squarespace. Takes up the whole page. And look at this cool thing, how you have the image comes up all the way up into where you have your title pages. And they fit over that. I like that. That's kind of clever. I would like to be able to do that. It's all in the details. And so shows you what this foundation is about, different aid. It's kind of a cool thing. Okay. Okay. Next one, Squarespace. I'll get you guys this information. So, hey, Forrest, do you think that if I gave you my PDF, you could put it in the YouTube notes?
I already told him we would. So,
oh, yeah. Good. Okay, great. So this is the alumni. So our alumni, we love, they provide us with lots of guidance. So here's a little list of who's using it and why. So if you want to look at a few other photographers who are using Squarespace and see how they customize it for their own, you can do that. This is their pricing. So personal pricing versus professional pricing, and then it tells you what they offer. This is an article, or actually I think it's a video about how to use Squarespace and SmugMug. SmugMug is how many of you heard about SmugMug? Yeah? So it's a huge, robust engine with lots of commerce. But the downside of SmugMug, the last time I moved around in there, is that their templates weren't very exciting. It was kind of a little old school. But business stuff-wise, they have a lot to offer. So if you could take your Squarespace and optimize the business opportunities and selling and marketing and sales components that SmugMugs has, that could be good. So these are the different pricing for SmugMug. So again, you have to pay for both things, but can be worth it. Next is a photofolio. So this website company is amazing. They win the PDN, Photo District News Photo Annual, almost every year. They won like 7 years in a row at one point. They have an excellent reputation. They promote themselves as being the last website you'll ever need to own. So that's kind of a stress thing, right? What if you're with one templated website and you get sick of them, you have to get another one. They offer full screen images and full screen video. They have a lot of opportunities. It was started by this guy, Rob Haggard, who was the editor of a photo editor, that blog. Have any of you guys read that? Well, you should read that if you haven't read that. It's a great thing. But it has lots of caption controls. So lots of options on how you can choose to have text and adding locations, how it has this opportunity that you can have a really slick kind of magazine layout to it. Very easy navigation, and they keep it updated all of the time. So it's cloud-based, so they keep all of your images, all your information is cloud-based, so you can easily access your website and work on it from anywhere. It has limited selling features, so it's kind of like Squarespace in that it's integrated through Photomoto, which is one of those selling things. And they do seem to offer licensing, but I couldn't quite figure that out because I can't get inside the back end of it. So I don't think it's as robust as Photo Shelter as far as licensing, and I cannot tell by moving around in their website and calling if they have like 24/7 customer service. But their features are right here. So they have a list of their different professional features. Their big thing, I think that they're super proud of, is really big images. Because a lot of times you'll wish that your templated website can give you the full screen, but some of them lock you into having this, a border. So that's like always been their big selling point. This is an example of a Photofolio, one of the Photofolio's websites. They have, I showed you Stephanie Rossner. So she was a Photofolio. She had those images that kind of move around, the little video squares. So that was her. He has Lorenzo. Let me show you him. Forrest, how am I doing on time?
You're doing great. You're in an hour or so.
Okay. So Lorenzo, if we, as far as like editing and sequencing, so this tiling thing is pretty popular. Let me try him. He has Make a PDF. He teaches workshops. Move down. All right, well, we'll pick you. Tell me, guys, as we move through this portfolio, think about what ties these images together. Let's look at this image. and that image. Think of them as a sequence. What's happening between those two?
Lighting.
What about it, Mary?
I mean, as far as the direction or the type.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is it because it's the same type of lighting? Okay, what else? Yep. Is there anything else going on between those two images that creates some kind of energy between them?
Negative space around the subject is kind of similar.
You're going from black and white to color.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep, negative space is similar, you're right. And it's an interesting thing. How do you transition from black and white to color, and how does it work? Even the energy, I also think even the energy between these two people both have they're not in the same exact kind of lost in thought kind of energy, but it has a similar, you're not going from somebody who's quiet and thoughtful to somebody who's jumping and crazy, right? So let's see what they chose to put after her and see if it makes sense as a transition. Yeah. Does that work for you guys? It goes from it's all about the spirit of a person, right? It's this quiet study of the spirit of a person. And then I love how it goes, it's soft and easy. She's a little bit somber, but they're very individualized. And then boom, it looks right into you. So creative. And it's a mix of color and black and white in a way. It has some sort of a tonality. Okay, I'm sorry, I could totally get lost in editing and sequencing, then we would be having a slumber party. Okay, so Forrest, do we ever have the YouTubes be a slumber party? An all-night editing YouTube slumber party?
I thought about doing an all-day live stream before, where we just have 8 hours and just do it.
I will do it. I'll do it with you. I'll be part of it.
Take turns.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be so fun. That's a great idea. Okay. Sorry to you guys on YouTube, if anyone's on there. All right, so. What?
They can't hear what we're saying.
Oh, they can't, but they can hear. So Forrest wants to have an all-day long YouTube photo party session where we're on YouTube all day long and we come in and go out. Does that mean we can pick some of the students that have to come up and stand up here too? All right, Pam, get ready. Mary, get ready. Herb, get ready. All right, so PDN, this is great if you're thinking about doing a photofolio. Check out these websites. See what they do with a photofolio. See how they look. See what the functionality, how it works. Then you can visually see if it's possible for you. This is the alumni feedback on a photofolio, what people think about it. We just had a teacher 2 weeks ago, Mike Tittle, who taught for us. He has a photofolio. This is the pricing. So it's a little bit more expensive, but supposedly it's fairly easy to navigate. Then we have a photo shelter. Not a photo shelter, but photo shelter. This is a great site for commercial photographers. There's licensing possibilities on the site, so you can license your images. This is a really cool thing about Photo Shelter. There's multiple ways of delivering files. This is great for art directors. It's great for buyers. You can upload RAW files and PSD files. So being able to share those kinds of files with people, that's a nice opportunity. You can search for images by keyword. So if you're wanting to buy things, this is why it's a great site for selling stock. It also includes, inside the website, it includes a stock pricing calculator called PhotoQuote, which is it's a standard tool that photographers use in the industry. So it's great. You can tag images that have photo releases. So if people are wanting to see, you have pictures that have portraits of people or locations for releases for locations. photo buyers, editorial, commercial use for advertising can see if you have those releases, which makes their lives easier, which will make them want to hire you faster. Has good captions, good captioning options, so different styles of captioning, so ways of playing text with text. You can have custom PDFs made, has good sales support, but from what I can tell, it's mostly North America. So there's only one website that I found that was very good internationally. But it does use PayPal, so it accepts through PayPal all the credit cards that, normal credit cards that PayPal accepts. And I use PayPal in my business and love it. I think PayPal is awesome. It's like my favorite way to ask for money. Yeah, it's good. So these are the features for Photo Shelter. And it has a free trial. So you have basic standards. So it's different storage capabilities. So how much storage you want to have held on there. Built-in client proofing tool might be helpful to some people. They all have friendly phone and email support. Now, it doesn't say 24/7. I like the 24/7. I want help when I want help. I'm like that, I guess. Then, it has this other really cool thing. So they're really into helping support and promote their own photographers. So if you have a Photo Shelter site, they have their own stock licensing agency within Photo Shelter that they use to promote their photographers. So it's another way. It's almost like being able to join your own pseudo Getty kind of website. So it's a great little addition. And then here's Amy Tonsing. I showed you how she did her images with. This is I was right, it's Photo Shelter, and how you get to see both the image and then sort of the other images that they have. These are the other projects, but if there's anything that was, this looks fun, the Jersey Shore. Have you guys seen the reality show on the Jersey Shore? Forrest? No. Gossip Girl.
Yeah, so good.
So good. So good. Sorry. My mom's out of town. I'm house sitting and she has cable. So I'm like watching this show. So I showed you guys that. All right, now we have Lattice, Amy Tonsing, Jimmy White, plans. I showed you guys that. Now we have Zenfolio. So this is one of the sites that I have. I love it. Zenfolio is robust. It supports an international clientele. It has excellent marketing and sales tools. I mean, it has coupons and gift certificates. You can remove the Zenfolio branding. It has video hosting. It has lots and lots of integrated labs that you can choose to work with. Lots of product options. So if you want to put your photos on shower curtains, you can do that. It is, I would say, has the option to require visitor sign-in, and you can capture their email. It was really hard, just between you and me and everyone. It was really hard to navigate and figure things out because there's a lot of language about colors and like padding and all of that. They have great support. They've got great email support, but because it's such a big, vast, robust back end, it just takes a little while to navigate your way through. But it has it's probably one of, especially for retail, if you're trying to sell fine art prints or you're selling retail photography, like wedding and retail. It's big for wedding, family portraits, all of that stuff. Zenfolio is great. It doesn't quite, it seems as if like Squarespace and Format, they're a little more like edgy modern than Zenfolio is. But the business capabilities that it has could really help you make a lot of money. So Zenfolio is great. Here's the features. It's been around for a long time. Create a beautiful site in minutes. I don't know about that, but it is easy to upload photos. But look, you get 24/7 support. So you can be up at 4 in the morning, which I often am, and I could be on the phone with Zenfolio, and they'd be happy to help me. They're very affordable. You can have, let's see. These are a couple of websites that are Zenfolio, Joy Marie. So I think that, but see, look at how tiny these things are up here, you guys. Does that work for you? That doesn't work for me. Joy Marie, I don't mean anything against you. This is very hard for me to like teach a class and be on YouTube, but love your site. I think your things are like a little too tiny up there. So yeah, but this is nice, this nice white space around her. Maybe because she's shooting for the New York Times and all these other places, they already know how to find her. But, and then this is Will Nichols. Oh yeah, here's something. I'm not so, you guys tell me what you think. Like, I'm not so into that design layout. It doesn't, I don't know. Fight with me. You guys disagree with me. YouTube, fight with me. But it's, there's something just not that exciting. I guess you select the photos, I don't know. But that layout, I would rather, and that's something to think about too. Do you want to scroll across big things? This is a very common thing that was common like 5 years ago, definitely 10 years ago, but having all these little thumbnail buttons, right? And you click on the thumbnail and it brings up a whole bunch of other little thumbnail buttons, right? Of whatever that topic is, like ponderosa trees or whatever. But I'm not into those little, are you guys? No? I'm sorry if one of you guys have a website that has the thumbnail, I feel bad. But you can fight with me. Okay, so that's Zenfolio. Then we have Format. I think they stole this from Photofolio, the last portfolio platform you'll ever need, because I know Photofolio said that before Format came out. But maybe Format is the last portfolio platform you'll ever need. It's very similar to Squarespace, modern, sleek. It has lots of great features. See, Zenfolio, you guys before I go to Format, let me just show you. Look at the pricing. You can't beat that. $5, right? To start, that's a great price. So Pro is $20 per month, but you get like watermarks, client access, proofing, sell products at your own price, marketing tools. They are all about the business. Zenfolio, they're all about the business. All right, so Format is modern, clean. It's less expensive than a lot of the other options. It has 24/7. You know who uses Format a lot is photojournalists and documentary photographers. There's a lot of photojournalists who love Format. Fine art photographers. There's a lot of fine art photographers who love Format. It has a video embedding option, free 14-day trial, has a store on the site so you can sell, so you can do your commerce. I'm not sure if it integrates with labs, but it has a cool proofing component for clients, so clients can proof their images and choose which ones they want. It has a great little area in the back end where the clients can actually comment on the images. I think they have that in Photo Shelter as well, and give feedback. Its Format is fully customizable, so you can take their ideas and then customize it to whatever you want. So here's a couple of Format sites. Kathy Walters. You guys all live here, right? Kathy Walters is one of the photographers for the Missoula Independent. She has a great project. Look at this one. I love this. Buffalo Bridge. Seeing how she can have some of the images, they have text. Spent some time with this group of people. Really clean though, right? Nice and clean, but see, she's able to have text. And then she's very subtle with her little buttons. See, maybe if you had, I'm working out my own website with you guys in the room. Yeah, but it's nice, right? It's very clean, simple, light. Let's see if, I don't think she has a store on her site. No, let's see what is that? Is that adventures? I can't read anymore. Editorial, portraits, lifestyle, projects, about. Let's see what she has in her about. She has her blog in her about section, smart. And then there she is. Oh, if you don't know Kathy Walters, she's awesome. You'd love her. But this tells you who she's worked for, who she shoots for, that kind of thing. And then Michael George, he has another format. So look, he has a totally different. So you scroll through his images going left to right. So do you want to tile up to down? Do you want to go one image at a time? Or do you want, this is another option. And look at the colors. What do we have going on at this, you guys, with sequencing? If you had to think of one thing that repeats. Duos? Oh, so like two people to one person?
It just seems like two pictures together of the same tone or color.
Uh-huh.
The next two are more.
Yeah. I'm with I keep seeing that red pop it in and out. Who said that? Somebody out. Yeah, you said it. Yeah, that's what stood out to me too. Yeah, sequencing's so fun. But interesting, right? Look, he's got the Instagram written down just like I like it. Oh, another thing you can have. Look at this. Tear sheets. If you guys are at that place where you guys already have tear sheets to share, I know Pam both does. So she needs to have a section to promote her tear sheets and show what she's already done. And so thinking about what options each of these places have, like Amy has her tear sheets down below the project. These, you have to have your own section, but kind of cool. Okay, I'm almost done. Okay, so this is alumni feedback on format. This is their pricing structure, $6 a month for a personal one. But that's a great thing, right? If you're not ready quite to, that you're like a business yet, but $12 a month, that's cheap too. So that's a great pricing. So this is alumni feedback on other sites. So we have people on LiveBooks, we have people on Showit, Verb. This is the list of the client proofing sites that I mentioned. So Squarespace, if you're choosing one of the sites that don't actually have commerce in the site and you have to like buy that widget, buy the add-on, here's a few that have pretty good reputations. If you do want that shower curtain, then you'll want to go to Society 6. They'll sell you the shower curtain. Pixie Set has a free version of it. Lots of retail use on that one. This is a Pixie Set. This is a live link to a review by Jasmine Starr, who uses Pixie Set with her Showit website. Photomoto, so we have that. And then here's resources and articles all about either reviewing different websites or how to make the right website, what you need, how to deal with commerce on your website. So these are all great articles to read. Then last but not least, if you're hiring it out. So most of these template companies have a design team in-house, so you can actually hire one of their designers to work with you. I know, for example, a Photofolio and LiveBooks has this. Or you could hire locally as well. You can hire a local designer who understands. You'd probably want to ask them if they know how to navigate, through the back end of Squarespace, because if it were me, I wouldn't want to have to pay for my IT person to teach themselves how to use a site before they do the work on it. But this is some good advice for you if you're going to hire a web designer to do your website. First of all, work out your goals and purpose before you meet with them, right? create an outline, all of those things that I had mentioned to you, all that stuff to gather and have ready. Save yourself money so that so when you go to them, you're not spending money working that out with them. And identify what your functional needs are so that you can see if that person is capable of actually doing it. If this is something that you would choose working with a designer if it's not offered in template land. So if you want something very customizable, I mean, for example, RMSP is not on a templated website. We have our very own custom Tony Ricks, who's amazing, who does everything. He invents stuff, he finds stuff, he keeps, right on the head of the curve in most cases of what's possible, what you can do on websites. So, but if you're going to be hiring somebody out, first of all, research. I would ask to see sample websites of other people that they've worked with. Ideally, if you're doing research, I would want to talk and interview one of their clients, because what if they're a great designer, but they're really difficult to work with? That would not be so great, right? Because it should be a pleasurable experience. Big question. It just came up the other day. Will you own your site? I just spoke to somebody the other day who was getting ready to hire a web designer, and the web designer wanted for this photographer to host all of their images on the web designer's, on their, what is it called, hard drive, whatever? Yeah, their server. And I was like, ooh, that sounds scary, right? Because that's just, sometimes you want to own your domain name. That's another thing. You don't want the designer to own the domain name. And that's a slippery slope that if you don't know to ask those questions and lay that out, you could fall into that land, and then they own the website and you have to buy it from them. So asking them questions like how much you'll be charged to make changes, right? If you wanted to add something or take something away. I know, for example, I'm changing a paper offering that I have on my website. I want to add a new paper. How much would they charge me to do that? And what kinds of changes can you make? It would be great to know that ahead of time. There are limitations to the type of changes that you can make. Communication, do they respond to you in a timely manner? When you sit down and you talk to them, do they listen? Or do they kind of talk at you, or are they good listeners? When you email them, how many days does it take for them to email you back? Do they respond to your questions fully? Asking them if you're doing any e-commerce, are they capable of building standards compliant sites? Not everybody is. There's a lot of people who went to website design school. There's a lot of photographers who went to photography school that can't take a picture of an apple under on a white backdrop. So there's a lot of web designers that went to web design school that don't know everything there is to do about web designers. So you want to ask these questions. Can they build a site that's responsive? Can they work with multimedia? Make sure you own your domain name. And are they current with technology? So that would be, kind of important. You'll want a contract. Do they have some sort of a maintenance or service plan? For example, there's always going to be upgrades and bugs that need to be fixed on the website. So what do they charge for that sort of thing? Will they build it? This would be a cool thing for you. I would try and get them to build it so that they can empower you to make some of the changes. That would be kind of an ideal thing. So if you wanted to update and put new images on, if you wanted to add text, I would be great if you could do that yourself and not have to wait on your designer to do it for you. What's the estimated timeline? How many of you have hired or wanted to hire or had your friend or your cousin say, I have a friend who can be a website designer and do this? Well, what's that turnaround time? Do they do it on their off time? And then do they have references? And then this is just a list website resources to start for your, come to Marcy, I'm gonna give you some homework. So here's some places to start. If you like retail photography, portrait and wedding, here's a whole list of photographers. They all have websites. You can look at their websites. Nature photography, commercial and fine art. Documentary and photojournalism, here's a whole bunch of photographers you can check out from there. Editorial photographers, architectural photography, food and still life, advertising, editorial, fine art, mixed, all put together. Commercial, people, sports and adventure. Here's our RMSP alumni. Awesome. They're so good. And yeah, that's it. So you have your homework for you. Any questions? I covered it well?
Come on over to you.
Yeah.
No one has any questions? You do.
Always having a picture of yourself, is that necessary?
You know what I would say about, so the question in the room is for your about me statement, do you have to have a picture of yourself? Is that always necessary? I would say no, unless you're trying to market. If you were trying to market for retail photography and you wanted people to hire you, you were going to go shoot them, like photograph them, not shoot them, not in this day and age, we don't want to use that word, but you were going to go photograph them. You want them to feel comfortable with you and, you know, be attracted to you. So I would say you definitely, if you're going to be photographing people. The other thing that I've noticed with, I wish I had that example, is if you're going to put a photo of yourself, so many times I see people who have their about me photo and the person is looking like this, or it's like a side pose, or it's, I mean, that one picture that I showed you, the silhouette of the guy, that was obviously like an art shot. But I've seen people like standing in a hiking pose, but they're not looking at the camera, but they're like kind of, I think it's either like look in the camera, have it be super arty, or you could put something else in. But no, I don't think you always have to have a picture of you. Yeah, it could even be something that's representational of what you do, like your signature shot maybe. But a lot of times people like to see pictures of the photographer. Yeah.
Continue. Yeah.
Pricing.
Mm-hmm.
I've been told not to have it and to have it.
Oh,
I
on the
find
site?
when they say contact me, I find I get really annoyed with that.
Yeah.
What do you, as a professional, what do you think?
I've seen a lot of sites say like pricing starts at, right? For me, my site is a print studio, and so I have my pricing right up there. So it's different. But I would say if it bothers you to say contact me, why not have your pricing? I bet that pay online, all the pricing information is right there. I mean, in some ways, I like having the pricing because whenever anybody asks, you can just send them a link to your website, right? And then that brings up a whole conversation about pricing, because a lot of times, I think where you make your profit, Andy, Forrest, Pam, anyone who does retail photography, I think a lot of your revenue comes from selling your prints. So that's where you'd be focusing much of your attention to is in that whole experience of how you're selling those prints. So which is a whole other amazing topic to have covered by somebody.
You showed one of those websites I loved. It was the guy that kind of had it looked like a book format.
Yeah.
It was simple, and then his pricing was in big red letters. Did you see that?
Yeah,
It was
Rodney
standard,
Smith.
and it had like pricing in red and
Yeah.
a big number.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's such a, photography is such a creative outlet for us, but your website has that same potential. It is just as, it's possibly the first place people go to see you. So how are you going? It's a seduction. How will you hold them there, right? How will you, what different ways can you use to seduce somebody? The images themselves, the language you use, the colors you have there, the layout. It's all a seduction, really. Okay.
Everyone good? No more questions?
Thanks,
Coming back up
everybody.
so I can- Coming back up so I can get to the microphone. Thank you very much. Thank
Thank
you
you.
all for coming. I want to make a little announcement that every time we do these YouTube videos, more and more people have been tuning in. So for everybody who's on there and for everyone who can never make it, go to subscribe and just come back. And come here if you're here in town or watch them on YouTube. It's been a lot of fun to see that number keep going up. And because we love doing these free lectures. I know she loves doing it.
Yep.
One of these days, maybe I'll do one, but I prefer to. I know I like running that stuff. It's a lot more fun.
No, I think
so.
you should join this side. I think you'd be good.
Everybody, thank you for coming.
Thanks.
Everybody on YouTube, have a good night. Bye, folks. Very nice.